our next presenters will be Corrie Kuniyoshi, who is PI of a project called Impact Indicators and Instruments for Individual Development Plans, or IDPs, along with Joerg Schlatterer, who is co-PI for the same project. Corrie is manager of the American Chemical Society's Student Experiences Program, and leader of the project SEED and ACS Scholars at ACS. Joerg is director of the Office of Research Grants at the American Chemical Society, and we're delighted to have them here today.
Thank you so much, Julia, and thank you very much for the invitation. And early on, I will turn it over immediately to Corrie Kuniyoshi.
Thank you for having us today. We wanted to share with you just a few things about the American Chemical Society before we start in on our project. It's a discipline-specific professional society. It encompasses over 151,000 members, spread over 130 countries. There are 2,000 employees, and they make possible a lot of the different activities that happen through ACS. We have local sections, international chapters, subdisciplinary divisions that make up ACS, more than 90 peer-reviewed journals, regular national, regional, and local meetings, and of course, a board of directors and many advisory boards and committees that create really a great cadre of volunteers. What was the motivation for the IGE project? So for impact indicators and instruments for individual development plans, which we affectionately refer to as I3 IDP. Well, we are PhD scientists that went through the graduate school process, and we're charged with really trying to make a meaningful difference in the lives of young researchers going through their graduate studies. For American Chemical Society, we have created the Chem IDP, which is an IDP platform that takes students through their career journey. But even with all the different IDP platforms that exist and the different IDP workshops and resources, there was a question of IDP efficacy. What truly makes an IDP effective? And this is because of lack of information for the true impact of work of IDP use. What is IDP efficacy beyond looking at the number of account holders we have for Chem IDP and satisfaction with IDP workshops and those type of ratings? So here is a snapshot of our I3 IDP core team. Dr. Cynthia Furman, who has been a wonderful collaborator at University of Massachusetts Chan Medical School, Dr. Joerg Schlatterer, who is on the call today, and Dr. Laura O'Dwyer, our psychometric consultant. I won't go through the breadth and the history of IDPs, but a lot of it started in 2002. So you can see in yellow, the framework reports training and innovation and policy and reporting that really went into moving individual development plan process work forward, starting in 2002. And in red, you can see where different platforms, such as My IDP, Chem IDP, and GCC's Imagine PhD platforms were created. And these are three primary IDP platforms that exist that are freely available for students to work on. So the I3 IDP project has involved a wide girth of community of stakeholders that we engaged in focus groups, sometimes on one-on-one interviews, to really give depth to our project, which Joerg will talk more about. This involved the STEM graduate education community, and we needed the psychology and educational research community to be heavily involved, as well, of course, as the career and professional development community. One group that I particularly want to bring out that was wonderful partners in this endeavor was the Graduate Career Consortium. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joerg.
Thank you so much, Corrie. And I will keep it very brief since it's a mini presentation. I will share with you some of our results. We came up with definitions how individual development plans, the products are actually used in STEM graded education, and how we actually see the process itself, the individual development plan process is actually defined. So we define in our paper that we already submitted the IDP product as the documentation and or articulation of one's engagement with the individual development plan process, including a strategy or action plan for accomplishing future goals. The process itself, it's different. It's the process. The process is a set of activities that one engages in to create an informed plan for the personal and professional development. The IDP process is iterative and involves the core components of self-assessment, contextual exploration, decision-making, and goal setting. It is posited to be related to one's identity formation. To visualize the IDP process, we came up with this wonderful chart with colored circles. But basically what this process tries to do, answering 4 questions for individuals. Who are you? What are your options? What will you decide? And how will you actually get there? So keeping in mind those different definitions, we went ahead with our experts and most importantly with our PI and our consultant team. And I would like to point out, Cynthia is on the call as well. Hello, Cynthia. And we developed all together the theoretical framework, which leads to a survey toolkit, which can be used for data visualization of the IDP process all the graduate students in STEM could go through. And ultimately, the results of those surveys will lead to interventions that support the identity development of individuals from diverse groups. How will the I3 IDP survey toolkit look like as it will be published in spring 2023? You will notice there are 4 components where you could, as an administrator, choose and pick from. We will focus on career exploration, self-assessment, goal setting, and career decision-making. Each of those 4 components, we defined indicators. For each of those indicators, we have scales. And for each of those scales, we have several survey items, which we keep all together. We validated all the different scales and the overall toolkit. Again, this toolkit will be available as of spring of 2023. Now, of course, we have so much information and we have to think about who do we actually would like to reach. And there are, in general, for ACS, 3 distinct groups. Users of our toolkit, the survey toolkit, but also users of our definition for the IDP product and for the IDP process. And also, of course, those that motivated actually the toolkit users and toolkit definition users to actually use what we have created. So we have the toolkit users, definition users, and the motivators. And it ranges from STEM graduate students themselves, from postdocs, faculty, university administrators, career practitioners, government agencies that are very likely interested in learning, does your IDP process at your university work? And if it doesn't, what will you do to, I don't want to say fix it, but to enhance it, to make it a little bit better, right? And other supporters of graduate students. So how do we reach out to those different users and to the motivators? Since we are still fairly early in the process, our first manuscript is submitted. What we have on our action plan written down, we will use peer-reviewed and non-peer-reviewed outlets in print, including our very own journals. We will examine all those options. Gundala beautifully shared with all of us, of course, but most importantly, every scientific society has newsletters, which will be read by all different kind of stakeholder groups. As you think about how you would reach out, explore which newsletters are available through scientific societies. Different magazines, for example, Corrie was the editor-in-chief for a wonderful magazine for graduate students and postdoctoral researchers. They should know, for example, about our definition of the IDP product and the IDP process, and that their institutions could measure the efficacy of the IDP process locally. Of course, presentations to the research community at ACS, we will certainly be active during our spring and fall meetings, but also very likely at the regional meetings and meetings from other professional societies or organizations such as the Graduate Career Consortium, etc. We have produced a pilot video, which is still hidden on the YouTube channel, but we would expect that a video would be easily shareable amongst graduate students and all different supporters of graduate education. Of course, we will make sure as we integrate the evaluation toolkits in all of our offerings at the American Chemical Societies, that itself will spread the word and the knowledge about the work I3IDP has done. Yes, and of course, again, outreach to other professional organizations. And one piece of advice, as Gunnar pointed out, so many scientific societies and other support groups are out there. Understanding how they are actually composed, which committees, which newsletters are there, is probably key to really reach out to every single group that you would like to reach. It is a mini presentation, so I will stop right here. Thank you so much, and we are happy to answer any questions.